It's puzzle time. We're back doing some more checkmate in twos in the Laszlo Polgar book. You've got 30 seconds on the clock before I explain the answer. If you've been following along for quite some time, see how many checkmate patterns names you can remember as well. Let's get into our first puzzle here, number 713. Your time starts now. We're going to use our hookmate pattern here. It's usually with the rook, but it works with the queen as well. So knight's going fishing, catching the king as bait, giving the king two options, two candidate moves. If they go down and take the knight, then we can come on down here and we've got our swallowtails checkmate like so. Usually the queen's one square closer. Same thing though. If he goes up, we're just coming in with the queen supported by the knight for checkmate there. 714. We're using the power of our basic ladder mate here. So we play queen to f4 here, check. If the king takes our rook, then we've got our ladder mate here. Usually it's with the two rooks, but we've got the queen sort of thing going on here. They can also block with the knight, but then we're just coming in with the queen. Pawn's obviously going this way, and that's checkmate there. 715. We're turning on our X-ray tactic here. We can see that if we magically put our queen or rook here, it's going to be checkmate with this rook gone. So we can sacrifice the queen ahead of time because the rook is X-ray defending this square. Rook must take. Now our rook can come in, defended by the knight for checkmate there. 716. We have queen c5 here, check, forcing the king to take. Now we've led him down into a checkmating net. We can come on up with the queen, hitting him on the light squares here. The dark squares are restricted by the pawns and the knight, and the bishop's stopping his escape over here. 717. This is a tricky one. So we've got a queen check here. It'd be checkmate except for the queen. We've got a knight check here. It'd be checkmate except for the queen. One of these works and one of them doesn't. Queen c5 is the correct answer because after the queen takes, which is forced, the king has nowhere else to go. Then we can come in with our knight. We've deflected the queen from the defense of this square, so we can checkmate with the knight. However, if you play the knight first, why doesn't this work? Well, when the queen takes with check, we've deflected it from this square. The problem is it's check on us. So we have to waste a turn getting out of the check. We didn't do checkmate in 2. 718. What's going on in this position? We're one off promoting. We've got two bishops. So the question is, do we check with our bishop first or do we promote first and then check? The way to do it is to promote the queen first. Why? Because what we're doing is we're forcing either the bishop to take or the king to run. If the king runs, we can use our bishop over here and we're checkmating the king like so. If the bishop takes, well then we've plugged the hole he can run away from. So now all we need to do is give a check on this diagonal. That's going to be checkmate there with our bishop, double bishop style check. 719. This one's tricky because we need to keep our bishop defending the rook so the king can't take it and escape, so we can't sacrifice the bishop. We can actually play the queen here. That would be checkmate, so they got to take with the knight. And we still can't take with the bishop because we lose the rook, but it's going to be a pawn mate there, defended by the rook and the bishop. King's got nowhere to go. 720. We need to force this king somewhere it doesn't want to go so we can follow up with the checkmate. We have a bishop, so we're going to try and keep him on the dark squares here. Let's force the king onto e7 here. King must take. It's forced, there's nowhere else to go. So we can follow up with the bishop here. The knight's restricting him really well over here. And the bishop's slicing through this way with the pawn support for checkmate there. 721. Similar to the last puzzle, we got to force the king somewhere it doesn't want to go, where we can follow up with a bishop check. Let's keep him on the dark squares. We've got a dark square bishop again. King must take. It's forced. The knight's restricting again this way with the pawn support. So the bishop can come on here and deliver the final blow. 722. The secret to this puzzle is we want to push our pawn up. Problem is that the king escapes. He has no other escape square, so we got to block that ahead of time. We play the queen here, that would be checkmate. Bishop has to take. We block this square now, so we can march on up with our pawn, defended by the rook for a pawn mate there. 723. In the position, you'll notice we're trying to open up the king here for checkmate. We've also got this bishop on the long diagonal. We want to open up this b file and get a simple ladder mate. So what we can do is we can play our queen up to c6, threatening mate in 1. There's no real good way to deal with this. If they push the pawn forward, we have the checkmate there. So they have to take our sacrifice. Now we can just take it with the pawn, opening up the rook here for a ladder mate. 724. No, this is not a repeat puzzle. There is a difference in this position compared to the one we did 2 puzzles ago. See if you can figure out the difference. This time we have queen d5 check. The king must take, and then we can follow up with the bishop for checkmate there. But the question you might ask is, why does this not work anymore like it did before? It looks almost identical. The reason being is after the bishop takes, you want to push your pawn up for check, right? Problem is, it's pinned. So you can't move your pawn up anymore. So you just sacrifice your queen for no reason. That's the difference. 725. We got to be annoying here and deflect the queen away from its defenses. We played queen to b8 here, check. Before it was x-ray defending this square. Now it's gone, so we can follow up with our bishop here for checkmate there. You might wonder why queen takes pawn doesn't work here. If they take with the rook, it does, because then we can slide on over here for checkmate, defended by the knight. Problem is they can take with the bishop, stopping us from playing the rook here. And if we play, say, knight here, for example, we give the check, but they can just sneak away. We ain't doing checkmate in 2. 726. We want to achieve our Boden's mate here with the 2 bishops on these squares. Problem is if we play our bishop here, that this bishop blocks and we waste too much time. So we get rid of this bishop ahead of time, which forces the knight to take, and then we can come on in and deliver the Boden's checkmate. And that's it for this week. Thank you for your patience. I know I've been pretty slack at uploading lately, but sometimes life gets in the way. I'll see you in the next one.